There are dark corners of the human psyche that most of us shall never travel to, where violent impulses and depraved desires lurk, shrouded in shadow. For this is not the case of a common criminal, but of a true psychopath. Welcome to the bone-chilling case of Chandrakant, the butcher of Mumbai. Hi guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, where we break down some of the most gruesome true crime cases from all over the world, giving you the most up-to-date detailed information. If that sounds like something you are interested in, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a like. A like from you really helps the channel. Thank you. Now let's dive in. Chandrakant was born in 1967 in the rural village of Gosai in the eastern Indian state of Bihar. Delhi, India's capital territory, is the sprawling metropolis where Chandrakant committed his heinous. Located in northern India along the banks of the Yamuna River, Delhi is the country's second most populous city with over 30 million residents. The city contains both ancient and modern features. Old Delhi grew around the 17th century walled city of Shahjahanabad, with lively bazaars and historical sites like the Jama Masjid, India's largest mosque. New Delhi was built as the British colonial capital in the 1920s and houses grand government buildings and museums. As one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, Delhi has been the political and cultural center of India for a millennium. From the towering Qutub Minar, built in the 12th century, to contemporary structures like the Lotus Temple, Delhi is layered with architectural marvels spanning its rich history. Delhi is home to an extremely diverse population speaking Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, and over 100 other languages. The city embraces culinary traditions from across India, including cheat snacks, rich curries, and street food delights like butter chicken and chole bhature. While Delhi drives India's economy today through commerce, finance, fashion, and entertainment, millions still live in struggling conditions. Lacking infrastructure and opportunities, many migrants crowd into informal settlements vulnerable to those with malicious intent. It was in Delhi's restless landscape of contrasts that Chandrakant unleashed his pathological killing, targeting the overlooked and forgotten. The city was oblivious as the danger brewing within it, until the butcher forced Delhi to take notice through his gruesome crimes. His childhood was difficult, and his parents were negligent, leaving with feelings of emotional void, according to psychologists who studied him later. Had limited education and left school after 10th grade. In 1986, at age 19, he migrated from his village to Delhi in search of work like many other young men at the time. He started off as a laborer before beginning to sell vegetables and fruit. This enabled him to better support his family financially. In Delhi, married a woman named Mamta who came from Madhubani, Bihar. Together, they had 5 daughters between the ages of 2 and 10 years old. But lived away from his wife, Mamta, and daughters, only visiting them occasionally. He moved residences frequently, staying in rental accommodations around Delhi instead of with his family. During his early period in Delhi, had several violent confrontations with local criminals and police that left him angry and bitter towards authorities. In 1998, committed his first known murder, killing a local union leader named Pandit after a dispute over payments. Claimed Pandit had him falsely imprisoned where he faced police brutality, fueling vengeful rage. He served 4 years before being released in 2002 due to lack of evidence. This would be the first of many victims authorities struggled to identify and build cases against. After being released from prison in 2002, continued working as a fruit seller in Delhi's Azadpur Mandi marketplace. He began luring young male migrant laborers from poor backgrounds to stay with him, pretending to offer them help finding jobs. But behind his benign exterior, resentments were simmering that would soon unleash a horrific wave of violence on the city. These vulnerable men trusted Ja, having no idea of the brutality he was capable of. According to Ja's own confession, his first killing after leaving prison was in 2003 when he murdered an associate named Shekhar after getting into a petty dispute about lies and drinking. His next known victim was Umesh in November 2003, whose betrayed trust apparently sealed his gruesome fate. Once again, Ja chopped up the body before discarding it outside Tihar jail, in a chilling game of catch me if you can with the police. Things go quiet for a couple years as Ja evades authorities' suspicion. But the brutal killings restart in October 2006 when Ja claims his fourth victim, a man named Amit. Ja decided he wanted recognition for his gruesome crimes. Along with the chopped-up body left at Tihar jail, Ja leaves a taunting note daring police to find him if they can. Thus begins a cat-and-mouse game between Delhi's most notorious serial killer and the cops trying to stop his sadistic spree. This brazen act announced the presence of a serial killer the authorities hadn't identified yet, but Ja's arrogance would soon prove to be his downfall. After discovering a dismembered body outside Tihar jail in October 2006, Delhi police realized they were dealing with a dangerous serial killer. But with few leads, they struggled to identify the perpetrator. The investigation caught a break when Sub-Inspector Narendra Pahalwan recognized similarities to an unsolved murder from 1998. He dug into records of past cases, which pointed to a fruit seller named Chandrakant Ja. In May 2007, Ja dropped another mutilated body at Tihar's gates, along with a note taunting his apparent ability to evade capture, but investigators were honing in on him. Police tracked down and arrested Ja later that month in Delhi. After initially denying involvement, Ja shockingly confessed to killing at least 6 people from 2003 to 2007. He showed no remorse, admitting he felt mentally unsettled if he went too long without ending someone's life. Ja also casually described his technique of beheading and dismembering his victims after killing them, before scattering their body parts around the city. Detectives realized Delhi had a horrific serial killer in its midst who had been hiding in plain sight. The arrest finally ended Ja's barbaric rampage, targeting vulnerable individuals. But the scars left on the victims' families and Delhi itself would linger long after the butcher was caught. After his arrest, Chandrakant Ja went to trial where prosecutors painted him as a ruthless psychopath who took pleasure in killing. Ja exhibited no remorse for the lives he destroyed. In 2013, he was found guilty of 3 murders that took place in 2006 and 2007. Ja received 2 death sentences, later converted to life imprisonment without parole. He remains behind bars to this day. While Ja confessed to more murders, police could only conclusively prove 3 killings to secure convictions. But the brutal saga spotlighted flaws in the system that enabled his crimes. Warnings from Ja's village about his capacity for violence went unheeded. Law enforcement failed to communicate and connect the dots on his earliest crimes. And vulnerable migrants living on the margins were targeted without scrutiny. While Chandrakant Ja's conviction for 3 murders delivered some justice, many questions still surround his horrific spree of violence targeting vulnerable migrants in Delhi. Police and psychologists struggled to determine exactly what drove an otherwise ordinary fruit seller to become a ruthless serial killer. Ja himself provided chilling yet contradictory explanations. He claimed the mutilations gave him psychological relief when he felt urges to kill. But Ja also said his attacks were revenge against a system that wronged him. Some experts pointed to Ja's dysfunctional upbringing, lack of education and trauma from early run-ins with authorities. Others suggested an inherent psychological deviance or trauma response. But what's clear is that for several years, Ja enacting his darkest, most depraved impulses while hiding in plain sight. His cruelty exposed cracks in law enforcement and social justice that enabled his crimes. The families of those lost still live with the pain of never fully knowing what happened to their loved ones. Ja's secrets died with his victims, leaving behind a wake of unanswered questions. How did one man overpower so many victims on his own? Ja was said to be highly skilled in martial arts and adept at manipulating vulnerable migrants. Once earning their trust, he lured them to their doom. They remained oblivious until Ja suddenly handcuffed and strangled them, by then too late. His strength and stealth were infamous before finally being captured. While the butcher rots in prison, his legacy is a reminder to remain vigilant against those who would prey on the vulnerable. Only by working together can we build a society that protects those most at risk. Today, Delhi's butcher remains an emblem of the terror that can take root when people fall through the cracks. His case stands as a cautionary tale on the need for reform and empathy for the most vulnerable in society. Well, friends, that concludes our grim journey. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of one of India's most haunting criminal cases. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember the importance of compassion and empathy in a world that can sometimes be filled with darkness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the latest true crime cases. We appreciate having you as part of our community as we explore the mysteries that continue to fascinate us all. Stay curious and remember justice may stay hidden in the darkest corner. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.